Wow. It's funny. I always tell my students and anybody who will listen, I say, if you would have told me in 2001 that we can do what we're doing today, I'd have called you a liar.
And let me tell you why I'm jealous of my Sans who are doctors and my frat members and all the black folks that I know who are lawyers and doctors. Let me tell you why. Because
my sister and her husband are actually rocket scientists. Very few of them. And she wrote a book called Steam Chasers, but it was really involved around STEM. Do you think it's like STEM is a gateway for a lot of black young people to really start to look at tech and things in that area so that we can have more representation in that area?
I'm basing my answer off of what we've already seen before. The same type of skeptics were saying similar things leading into the Industrial Revolution, right? As we needed less oxen and hand-drawn plows, and you start having these steam-powered and gasoline-powered tractors, and you needed less people on farms. Because back in the turn of the century, was that 85% of the population of the United States worked on a farm. So what's going to happen when all these farm workers lose their job because of automation?
Welcome back to the DaGrit Network. Today we're stepping into the world of tech, the algorithms, the apps, the AI, and ask the question many people are afraid to. Is this digital wave lifting all boats or just drowning the ones already struggling to stay afloat? From facial recognition to automated hiring, smart policing to biased data. AI is shaping how power works in real time, and if we're not careful, it may reshape our communities without our permission. So is this tool the one that frees us or the system that watches us? Are we building tech or is tech building us? I'm your host, L. Michael Burt.
And I'm Dr. Musa Abdullah.
No filters, no fear, just facts and fire. This is DaGrit. What's up, doctor?
Well, today we have a wonderful, I would say young man just for the sake of the conversation, but he's one of my slightly elder brothers, and he has been in the tech industry for 40 years, and he's going to give us some insight in how this can affect us. Please, can you let us know, give us a little small introduction to who Mr. Eric Hamilton is, sir? Mr. Eric Hamilton.
Oh, my fault. Yeah. So again, Eric Hamilton. Yeah. Again, not quite 40 years in the tech game, closer to about 35 years in the tech game. Spent a short time working at Google, at Yahoo. If you remember Yahoo, going way back to you tech enthusiasts. I was actually at Netscape, for those who remember Netscape.
Ooh.
So studied computer science as an undergraduate at Michigan State University, member for Alpha Phi Alpha 06. And also I got my MBA from LSU. And more recently, I'm focusing on artificial intelligence and AI and how people can benefit, mainly enterprises, large corporations can benefit from artificial intelligence, but there is a space for us. So pretty much 35 years in the game. Just happy to be here on the show, man. Thanks for inviting me.
All right, we appreciate you. So listen, we're going to jump right in, man, because I know we got a lot of questions and you got a lot of answers and we don't have a lot of time. So here's what we're going to do. Can you walk us through your 35-year, I had 40 year, your 35-year in tech, the tech industry, and what major changes have you witnessed in, let's say, the last 20 years?
Wow. So if you go back 20 years, you think about that was more or less the introduction of, so 20 years would be 2005. Right. So we had the internet, but people were still figuring it out, right? So it was the apps were the big thing going into like 2008, smartphones, right? No one really envisioned that you would be able to carry around the internet in your pocket, right?
Right.
So, going from just regular internet, and back in the day, most people's emails were either AOL or they had their Chrysler email, their General Motors email, wherever they worked, right? So it was work email, and people accessing the internet from their work computer, going from that to home computers, going from that to having internet on your phone. And then more recently, you start getting into artificial intelligence. It basically means you have a personal assistant. You've got the smartest personal assistant that's ever walk the face of this earth in your pocket to answer any technical or non-technical questions you might have. So, going from a place where you had to be in an office in 2005, more or less, to access the internet, to having digital assistants, the smartest assistants you ever had in your pocket, is what we've seen in the last 20 years.
Wow. It's funny. I always tell my students and anybody who will listen, I say, if you would have told me in 2001 that we can do what we're doing today, I'd have called you a liar. And I'd have said, man, that sounds like some Star Trek stuff, man. That ain't real. But now here we are, so here we are. It's crazy. So let me ask this. As a Black man in tech, what unique challenges and opportunities have you faced over the decades?
Wow. So let's talk about the challenges, right? So, I was just thinking, right? So I've got, of course, we're Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, and we've got tons of brothers in our fraternity who are, let's use doctors and lawyers, right? And let me tell you why I'm jealous of my Sans who are doctors and my frat members and all the Black folks that I know who are lawyers and doctors. Let me tell you why. Because when I talk to my Sans, to my Sans who are, and for those viewers who don't know, that's my Lion brothers who cross Alpha Phi Alpha with me. For those who don't know, both of them are MDs. They're medical doctors. Right. And one of the things that they had that I never had was they had classmates that looked like them, even in a predominantly white university at Michigan State University, and where'd they go to med school? I can't remember where they went to med school, but they had black faculty, Black students that looked like them. And as they progressed through their career, they had access to Black mentors.
Okay.
The man, no such luck, right? I started at computer science back in 1987. I was the only brother up in the mix, right? A lot of white folks, a lot of Asians and Indians. It was like that in 87 when I started at Michigan State University, in the 90s when I started working at Chrysler, and then at Cisco, and then at Yahoo and Google and all the different places that I worked. And then, so the challenge is in the minds of the decision makers, they don't see people who look like us as being able to make it happen in tech, right? Okay. Whereas my colleagues in medicine and in law, I mean, there's tons of examples. You think about Barack Obama, Condoleezza Rice, I think she has a law degree, Kamala Harris, Thurgood Marshall. There's so many lawyers, Johnny Cochran, pick one. There's countless examples of Black excellence in law. So when one thinks of, man, I need a black lawyer on the top level, we right there in the mix making it happen. In tech, not so much. So the challenge is, I have to convince people walking into a boardroom that I'm the smartest. I was about to curse. I'm the smartest person.
I say, here it come. Here it come.
I'm the smartest in the room, right? I'm the smartest person in the room, right? It takes some doing where my Indian counterparts, use the Indians for an example, they don't have to work that hard. A lot of times the assumption is that if you came from India, you speak with an accent, that you are smart because you have a master's degree and you've been hired by Cisco to lead this project, that you're smart. And I don't necessarily get that benefit of the doubt, but it's okay because I flex with it. And I'm the baddest brother in the mix.
Okay. All right.
That's what you come with. So that's the challenge. And then you also mentioned
opportunities. Yes, sir.
So opportunities are because there are not many folks like me. I have an opportunity to stand out. So everybody remembers the bald-headed brother. I do have no hair for those who.
That's right.
Everybody remembers the bald-headed brother who is technically adept. I know my stuff. Got a slick mouth because I still let it fly. Even in my corporate jobs, I let it fly. Big time.
Of course you do.
So the brand is there, right? So I do have an advantage to a certain extent when it's needed for me to stand out in a good way, because I let the tech shine, but that Detroit slick talk come out too.
Okay. All right. Okay.
You want to make that money because I help you make some damn money, right? These companies, they bring me on board for a reason. I might be slick, right? With my city slicker shoes and my Mad Hatter. You know what I'm saying? Y'all need to know about city slicker shoes. That's what I do. I come in there with my gaiters on, right? Looking smooth like I
Detroit.
always do. I'm gonna like it. Then get the next sucker up in there working for you, and I bet you he's not gonna be producing like I do because that's what I do. So
Right.
that's
Okay.
why I'm able to stand out because of the brand. I don't look like everybody. I talk slick, but I get you results.
Okay. All right. I like that. I like that.
Yeah, that's good.
That's good. I like that, as a matter of fact. Let me ask you this too. What is the most proud moment in your career?
You know what? I'd probably have to say, well, there's two. There's two. So when I was at Fidelity, I actually have a patent. I have a web analytics patent that was granted back in 2019. And that was one of the proudest. That's number two. Number one was in 2011, I got an award, a technology award at the United Nations. So that award was based on, I was a co-founder of an app that allowed you to find the closest Black-owned business to your current location. So at its height, BT did a little piece on us. Essence Magazine did a little piece. Your listeners and watchers can Google that. Google Eric Hamilton. It was called the Around the Way app. So Google Eric Hamilton Around the Way app. Black Enterprise did a piece on us. And what made me so proud was my parents, it was in New York. It was at the United Nations in New York. My parents came into town from Detroit, from West Bloomfield, right? And my mother, she's looking at me. She's like, "You're so proud. We're so proud." I'm thinking like, and I busted out laughing, right? My mother was like, why are you laughing, dear? And I was like, oh, no reason. But you know why I was laughing? Because back in the day when my grades were marginal, but I was killing in the step show. She's like, yeah, for Michigan State, just partying. You know, Mike, here's the thing though, Musa. I'm the same dude that I was in 1991, you know, freaking it out in the step show, handling my business on stage. I was the same dude that I am in 2025 or 2011 when I won that award at United Nations. Same dude. I'm a little bit more wise now, a little bit more business savvy now, but the core was the same. I was a slick talking dude back in the day. I talk even slicker now, way more slick because I got more money in my pocket. I don't care, right? So that was my proud moment, man. Getting that award at United Nations felt great, especially when my mom and them thought I was a buster back in '91. So yeah.
Oh, mom thought you were a buster?
They didn't. But you know, in my mind, from the perspective of a 21-year-old at the time, so I was like, man, my parents think I'm a buster, man. They're like, you're just wasting your time, blah, 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 blah. I was like, it's for a reason, because I want to network with brothers like Mike, network with brothers like Musa. Man, that was part of my statement that when I pledged spring of '90 of why do you want to be a member of Alpha Phi Alpha, I talked about bettering myself and bettering my future brothers. That was exactly what I said. And I'm rocking it out now. I'm bettering myself, but associate with y'all too. And I'm hopeful that I can do the same for y'all, make y'all show better. You know, whatever I can do.
I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. I knew it was gonna happen if we brought E Ham on. I knew it was gonna be.
He brought the fire, man.
You know, I'm gonna try to calm down because I know people gonna tune in and be like, we liked DaGrit before, but you know,
No.
like Mike, bring this brother back.
No. We're gonna bring him back now. We're gonna bring him.
Right.
All right. Mike, what you got, Mike?
Well, since we're talking about AI, black people AI or tech. My sister and her husband are actually rocket scientists. Very few of them. And she wrote a book called Steam Chasers, but it was really involved around STEM. Do you think it's like STEM is a gateway for a lot of black young people to really start to look at tech and things in that area so that we can have more representation in that area?
It is a gateway. And it was funny because I was on a panel discussion. This was back when I was in New York, probably the time I won the award at United Nations about 10, 12 years ago. And we talked about how to get more African Americans interested in STEM. And then we're like, well, Eric, you know, how did you do it? I was just a different type of dude. I wish I had the magic bullet, magic wine that's like, boom, and all brothers get interested. They were talking about, oh, you need to make tech more sexy. And I'm like, but like,
how do you do that?
I don't have the answer. But
I would say that. Yeah, how do you make it sexy?
I don't know, because it wasn't sexy back in 1982 when I got my first computer. In fact, my parents, they got me a Commodore 64 computer for Christmas back in 82 or 83. I was about 12 or 13 years old. It was expensive. That thing was almost $200. My mom was like, $200 for a toy? That was a lot of money back in 1982, right? It was still
Yes, it was.
for a toy, right? And my brother and I begged. My brother's in IT now. He worked for the Department of Defense and Cybersecurity, so he rocking the world in tech as well, right? Over
Okay.
in the Middle East. So he's doing this thing in a different type of tech. But we both learned on that Commodore 64 computer. We begged our parents for it. It was like, man, we about to blow this money on this expensive toy.
Yeah.
So my brother and I were just different. I wish I had the silver bullet to get other African Americans interested in tech. I don't know what it is. But here's the beautiful part about where this is going, though, Mike, is you don't need. So my degree in computer science has served me well. It's made me a lot of money in the last 35 years. The beautiful thing now is somebody came to me and said, hey, should I get a degree in computer science because I want to be a software engineer? I'm like, if you'd asked me this 30 years ago, I'm like, yes, dude. 20 years ago, yes. Even 3 years ago, I'd have been like, yes. You ask me this today, I'm like, I don't know, because AI can write software better than you, better than me.
Mm-hmm.
It will, no. So today, the answer is being good at different things, and one of which is being able to communicate with people is more important than a computer science degree. I don't believe I'm saying that, though, yo. This is crazy because I'm talking big junk about how I'm sweet because I've got a computer science degree. Not anymore.
Yeah.
Not anymore because AI can do my job better than me as far as developing software. There's other things that I bring to the table in addition to being deep with my computer science knowledge that makes it so that it's a nice package. But my technical knowledge by itself is going to be worthless, nearly worthless in 10 years because AI is going to be able to do my job better than me. I'm aware of that. So you talk about STEM, it's still important, but more important is communication and then even getting along and with people that you disagree with is more important than a STEM degree.
So the human factor
is way more important because the robot's going to be able to be robots better than you, and that's robotic. Developing software is very robotic. Being human and influencing humans is nuanced, and it's something that we've long way away before robots can do that. That's what's important more than STEM. But understanding STEM is still important. Understanding how to apply some of these technologies, but then having that, what my dad calls it, high touch, high tech, being able to write software, high touch, being able to talk to the homies, kick it. We were talking about off camera. We were talking about brown liquor and smoke. Like, being able to have these brown liquor, like my whiskey neat, right? With my cigars, right?
Yeah.
Being able to kick it with the homies and have you a drink and a smoke, in essence, is going to be more important than STEM to a certain extent. Ain't that crazy? That's coming from a guy with a computer science degree. Crazy.
Yeah. Ooh, that sounds wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Damn. Let me ask you this. What excites you most and concerns you most about the rise of AI today? Now, you and I had this conversation, and I'm telling you, I said, man, everybody has got to hear this perspective. So please share what excites you the most, but what also concerns you the most.
The same thing, right? So what excites me the most is, so if you think, and this is going to be a kind of a long answer, but I'm gonna try to keep it quick.
Okay, take your time. Take your time.
So if you think about where we've come as a society over the last 100 years as it pertains to technology, you think about computer technology. Back in the day, I saw this image of, it was a 5 megabyte hard drive from 1950, and it was about as big as somebody's living room, right? And they couldn't even put it. They had to put it on a truck. 5 megabytes, right? 5 megabytes, for those who don't know, it's 5 million bytes, and that's nothing. That's not even a video. That's a high resolution. That's one high resolution image, a really good image, or a 20-second poor quality video, right? Poor, low resolution, right? To a point where I could fit a few terabytes, which is a trillion bytes, as opposed to, so that's a million, right? So imagine 5 terabytes would be 5 million of those living room size computers, those living room size hard drives, right? So what I'm saying though is the cost of computing, the cost of storage, in essence, has gone to zero. and virtually, right? Where you have 5 million bytes cost tens of thousands of dollars to 5 million bytes is nothing. It's almost free. So what's happening next with AI is the cost of atoms are going to approach zero. So what does that mean, cost of atoms?
Yeah.
So when I say the cost of atoms, so again, we said the bytes are approaching zero, virtually zero. So this hat costs some money, costs less than $100, right? This shirt, all those books on your shelf, the glasses you wearing, Mike, the poster on the wall costs money. Those are atoms that had to be, somebody had to grind those lenses for those glasses. Some humans had to do this. So your glasses are going to be $300, wherever they are, right? That microphone you had, right? As we start to roll out AI, the cost is going to virtually approach zero because these AI is going to allow us to harness energy for virtually free, right? Because we're gonna dig up the earth, gather materials for these solar panels, which is not going to cost us money, right? In essence, because the robots are going to do it. It's not going to cost us any labor. We're going to harness the sun, which is going to be almost free. Right. And then now you've got your energy and now you've got your materials. So now you're going to have robots doing things and building things and creating products for us for free. So what does that mean? So that frees us up as humans. If everything is going to approach zero, then there's no need for truck drivers. There's no need for miners. There's no need for dentists. There's no need for doctors. Wow. So the future, the upside is we don't work because we need the check. We work to better ourselves. Mike's great-grandchildren and Musa's great-grandchildren, Eham's great-grandchildren, they're gonna be talking about us. They're gonna be like, yo, my dad was a dean of students in Brooklyn. I was like, oh, that's cool. He did it because he liked it. Well, yeah, he liked it, but he had to pay the rent. Pay the rent? What do you mean pay the rent? Well, he had a mortgage. He had to. Wow. What do you mean mortgage? He had to pay to live. He had to pay for food. What about just doing what your heart desires, right, and bettering yourself? That's the game. They'll be like, no, they had to work for survival, and that's a hard concept for us in 2025 to comprehend. But here, let me roll it back for you. Think about our ancestors in Africa back in the day, right? Or pick ancestors in Europe, wherever you're from, right? The concept of us going down to Starbucks to get a cup of coffee, or going to Whole Foods because I like my prime ribs, and I like my like my prime ribs. I like my ribeye steaks that I get from Trader Joe's. I don't gotta go out and hunt no buffalo for that bad boy. I go down because I don't. Hey, I'm slick. I'm a slick kind of man. I don't want to get my hands dirty. I don't gotta see ain't no calluses on this hand. I don't gotta stab nothing. No. I'm like talk slick, but I'm trying to get no, I'm gonna get dirty, right?
We'll keep it clean.
Back in the day, we had to have a hunting party to go out and get us a bison or whatever we hunting. Gazelle, we got to chop it up, we got to cook it, and then we got to bring it back, and then we got to be running again the next day to get some more meat for the village, right?
Right.
So imagine them thinking, here it is, about 10,000 years in the future. Well, I just walk down, it's like, I just slide a car through and grab whatever I want. The concept is like, what do you mean you don't have to hunt to eat? Yeah. What do you mean you don't have to go out and pick berries in the forest? You just walk up to a place. It's like a cave, but it's a building. They would think it's a cave. I don't know what they think it. It's this sophisticated building where you just pick what you want and you show them these little trinkets and they give you whatever you want. It's credit cards. They think it's some kind of trinket. You show them,
right.
It's like magic, right? So that is the upside is humanity the goals or it's not about making money to live, to pay the rent. It's about bettering yourself is the challenge. It's almost the gamification of life. Like when you play a game, you're trying to level up. You playing Madden, you're a certain level. You're playing some of these what they call role-playing games online, like StarCraft or not StarCraft, but World of Warcraft is what I'm thinking about. You level up. I'm a level 100 wizard, is more impressive than saying I got $1 million in gold, right? Because I played these games before. Back in the day, it's like, oh, I got $1 million. I got $1 million gold pieces. Like, so, but I'm a level 80 wizard. Ooh. Because money's not important. Like, yeah, you always gonna find money, but to go and grind and become a level 80 wizard, that's impressive.
Okay.
So it's gonna be about game. Again, that's my opinion. Now, that you also asked about the downside. Oh, the downside.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. I mean, it can get bad. It can get bad because the problem is, so as AI gets smarter, we're literally probably a year away from AI being able to do the work of an AI researcher. So right now, the company OpenAI, Sam Altman, the owners, founders, starters of ChatGPT, they are probably a year away from creating what are called AI agents. Just think of a AI agent as an algorithm that is as smart as an AI researcher. So these 100 AI researchers, you're not going to need them. You can literally have millions of them actually working on AI to make it better. It's what's called in our world a recursive function, right? That you've got these AI agents who are as smart as an AI researcher making AI better. Now the better AI makes AI even better, and that makes AI even better. It's a recursive function. It happens over and over again. I'm like a reiterative loop to a point where it's getting smarter and better and faster and smarter to the tune where you're going to have what's called artificial general intelligence, where these AI is just as smart as a human, and then it's going to continue to make itself even smarter, artificial super intelligence. Then it's going to have crazy, some people describe as God-like intelligent. I don't use that description. I like to say super intelligent because nobody's intelligent as God. But you'll hear that term, and just wouldn't let you know that it's out there just in case you hear it.
Right.
So then what does that mean? So you think about, and then I'm going to get into the ramifications of that. So you think about how we as humans are the most intelligent species on the planet. We've dominated. We're not as big as a dinosaur. And you've probably seen those videos or those talks about, oh, what happens if a silverback gorilla takes on 100 men? And it's like, oh,
yeah. That's a new thing. That's a new thing lately. Yeah.
It is, though, but the men have Lucy's, right?
Right.
Me and a gorilla whoop I'm about to cuss again. But I got heat at the crib, right? It's like AR-15, me, AR-15 and the gorilla. Oh boy, it's gonna be gorilla soup, baby boy.
Who winning? You know who winning.
I think I got some biceps, right? Let's say nothing spreading no gorilla, right?
Nah.
I got that triple thing, baby boy, right? So the gorilla is going down because of what I'm saying though is I'm not as strong, as fast, the bite, claw as a gorilla, but I'm more intelligent. I can outthink a gorilla, and I have technology. Now, so as AI gets more and more advanced, you think about comparing, us to a toddler, and I mean humans to a toddler, then humans to like something less intelligent like a dog, and then humans to something less intelligent like an ant. Except in this scenario, we're the ants, and AI are the humans, and AI will be so intelligent potentially that we won't understand its goals. Just like Musa, I know you live in Brooklyn, right?
Yes,
and
sir.
Back in the day, that brownstone you stay in, probably, I don't know, it's maybe 100 years old or whatever. Let's say it's 100 years old, but maybe in the 1920s, right? I don't know when it was built, right? At one point in time in Brooklyn, where you stay, that was probably some swampland, right?
Yeah.
They decided, you know what, in this plot of land, we're going to build a brownstone. So they drained the swamp, they built a brownstone. What about all the frogs and mosquitoes that were displaced to build that brownstone? You don't give a damn about that, right? Because your growth supersede a damn mosquito.
Right.
And in the case of AI, we're the mosquitoes. We're not going to understand their goals. We're these pesky little humans that we don't hate humans. Just like we don't hate mosquitoes. Well, I think my wife do. We hate mosquitoes. We don't hate ants. We don't hate frogs. But if we killed a few thousand frogs to make a banging ass, a really nice brownstone. I'm cussing again. I'm no cussing, right? Then frogs gotta go.
So you see, so wait, let me get this straight. You see, because this is one thing that we didn't discuss. You're saying that, I mean, I hate to say it, but we're talking like some Terminator stuff. Are we looking at that?
We don't know, because the problem is, like, these AI researchers don't really know. This is a classic case of Dr. Frankenstein, where we really don't know what we're building. And let me give you an example. So I'm not a diehard software developer, but I wrote my first piece of software on that Commodore 64 computer back in 1982, 83, right? And during my life, I've always understood what I've created, from being a 12-year-old to being in high school out of Walled Lake, Michigan, West Bloomfield, and then being at Michigan State, and then working for these different companies like Google and Yahoo. Everything that I touched and worked on, I understood it 100%. Something doesn't work. Oh, okay, let me do that. In 2018, I built my first what's called a neural network, right? Building a large language model, a scaled down version of ChatGPT. I was trying to work on something, get something to work. Musa, Mike, it was the first time in my life that I created something that I did not understand. And I didn't have the capacity to understand it. So to get things to work in the old world is, you would basically take a piece of paper and you would say, okay, what's happening here with this variable? Okay, I understand what's going on. In the world of large language models and AI, it makes so many calculations to get a certain outcome that it would have taken me a lifetime. And something that it took 10 minutes to do its thing, AI is doing its thing for 10 minutes and it gets the wrong result. It would take me like 10 years to figure out on a piece of paper of what went wrong. So what AI researchers do is they tweak parameters. They say, okay, well, it didn't work that. So it's almost like tuning a radio. So you got these dials, let's switch dials up this way. Okay, well, okay, that's a little worse. Okay, let's turn it this way. Okay, it's better. Okay, let's turn these dials. Oh, wow, it works. Yay. But do you know why? No, you don't. You don't. And I implore upon your listeners and watchers to go Google this. Go on and get on some forums and ask, or maybe find an article that talks about how these AI researchers truly don't understand what they're really building. It's not, so don't take my opinion on face value. Go do your own research and you'll find you're gonna see this, because I saw it firsthand. I'm switching dials and I'm like, wow, they really don't know what's going on. And so now you got AI making decisions, and okay, well, didn't make the decision. We thought, let's just tune the parameters a little bit, but we don't know why. We throw training data at it, and we tune parameters. Oh, let's throw some more data at it, and we tune some parameters. But you don't know why. Nobody knows why. No human knows why. No.
Yeah. And that to me, that sounds a little scary. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you guys, that just makes me nervous.
Because when you get to a point where it can start thinking on its own and making its own decisions based on, it's been trained on humanity's data, and maybe data that we don't even know it's being trained on, right? Then it may have a different goal. Maybe the goal is, you know what? I want to explore the universe. And these pesky little germs here called humans are in the way. So I'm going to turn this planet into one big solar array, one big solar panel. We can harvest all the energy from the sun by changing the surface into a piece of silicon or whatever that collects, like a big solar panel. And then we can harness all this energy. We can build rockets and explore the universe. And the humans, man, big deal. We don't need them. Thank you for giving us life, humans, but we don't need you. I don't know. That might be a goal. And there's nothing that we can do to stop it, just like ants can't stop us. Just like a silverback gorilla can't stop us, because we're smarter than a gorilla.
Right.
Can't stop us.
Yeah.
AI starting and it's going.
Yeah.
So
Mike?
should there be fear with people? Because so I did a little research in 2024. The Pew Research Center study found that 75% of U.S. adults believe AI will eliminate more jobs than it creates in the next 10 years. So do you believe AI will widen or shrink the wealth gap, and why? And should, or will it wipe out entire job sectors?
Ooh, I wish I had the answer. I wish I knew. So I think ultimately it will be good. It will be some bad, but ultimately it will be good. And I'm basing my answer off of what we've already seen before. The same type of skeptics were saying similar things during or leading into the Industrial Revolution, right? As we needed less oxen and hand-drawn plows, and you start having these steam-powered and gasoline-powered tractors, and you needed less people on farms. Because back in the turn of the century, was that 85% of the population of the United States worked on a farm. So what's going to happen when all these farm workers lose their job because of automation? People were saying, "Oh my God, what are they going to do?" Well, we all went to Detroit.
Make some cars.
and we got to see these niggas shoes and talking shit.
Right. That was the benefit. That was the upside.
No, I'm being funny, but so my parents were from Alabama, right? They moved, I don't know if they really worked on a farm, but actually my mom did she was picking vegetables and things like that as a child. But long short of it is, I'm being light of it, but yeah, so people, white folks, black folks, everybody moved from agricultural jobs to city jobs, right? So people are saying now, but what about the accountants and the engineers and some of these other people who are going to be losing their jobs? And I'm optimistic that there will be a place for those people, just like there's a place for all those tens of millions of people who were displaced from farms. I think there was, I don't know what percentage of people work on, probably 5% of the population works on a farm from 85 back in the turn of the century. We don't need all those people to run farms anymore, right?
Right.
And, and there's the gloom and doom. I remember reading about, this was back in, I think it was in France, and it was in the height of the Industrial Revolution. And it was a sewing machine factory in Paris. So all these tailors in town said, not on our watch, Playboy. They came with the torches and burned that blankety blank down, right? It's like, no. But as we know, here it is, 150 years later, 100 plus years later, we still need tailors. And guess what? Tailors use sewing machines, bro. You know what I'm saying? So the gloom and doom, I mean, yes, it's I get it, but I think the optimist in me thinks we'll be okay.
Okay.
Based on what's happened in the past.
Okay. All right. Okay. I get in here, Mike?
Go ahead.
Okay. What are the real risks of algorithmic bias for Black communities, and how can they be addressed?
Wow. I mean, they're widespread from, you think about over-policing, security cameras, the bias are real, right? Because the issue is that these AI researchers don't look like us, right? Predominantly, Indian, Asian, and Caucasian. And when they train these AI models, generally they're using what they're familiar with, which happens to be images that look like them, right? So, the long short of it is, we could potentially be, when you think about character recognition, pattern matching recognition, facial recognition, potentially, we could be left in the dark, pun intended there, in a sense, when it comes to this technology. And, and then on top of that, you can easily train, like, for instance, here's an example where these systems can be biased, right? So there's some systemic, Dr. Musa, way better than I do. There's, if you look at the incarceration rates among African Americans, unfortunately it trends high amongst our community, but there's reasons for that, right? You can go back to slavery, you go back to Jim Crow, you go redlining. There's reasons why, we commit crimes at a little bit higher rate than the rest of the U.S. community. There's reasons behind that. But if AI is just focusing on the end result, if you say, okay, study the faces of all these people in Jackson Prison in Michigan, right? Okay, this is your model. Now, we're going to take that same training data and we're going to put it into the robot police dog. Go find the criminals, right? So now it's going to be biased to think that men who look like us are automatically criminals based on the fact that in Jackson Prison, it's overpopulated with African Americans without understanding the underlying reasons why that is the case. We're not extra violent than other folks. We don't commit crimes on it. I mean, I'm saying things that we already know. So I'm saying all that to say that if you took this data, this training data, without context, without understanding the wide landscape of what we as a people have endured and gone through, then it can create bias systems that could perpetuate the negative stereotypes, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. Wow. That makes sense, and I think a lot of people are already on that. They're talking about the robot dogs. They're talking about robot police. I actually watched a clip today. It was actually dubbed the first robot rebellion, AI robot rebellion. And it was a AI prototype of a robot, and it was trying to get away from the harnesses that were holding it up. And I said, if the individual who creates, they may be brilliant, but what if there is a mental health disorder in that individual that's programming? What if that person has, I would say, for lack of a better phrase, they has a desire, have desires that are outside of what we consider normal for the average citizen. With those desires, with those practices, be placed within those programs?
Absolutely. And use the word programming. I would say if you cannot use the word programming, because what's happening with these AI algorithms, you're not really programming it like the traditional sense where I say, do this with instructions, but you're exposing it to training data, which in essence is programming itself on basically what it sees as data. So I wouldn't program. So to give you an example, I wouldn't program to say, okay, Mr. AI, hate all black people. With my Java, hate black people from Detroit and Chicago and from Jamaica. No, you would do it like that. You would do it kind of how I described, where you would say, okay, these are the criminals. They look like this. Treat them accordingly. Here, they have darker skin, and let's take and let's look at these test scores from this inner city school. And without understanding why these scores might be lower than the rest of the state, but this is what they're like. They're not very intelligent, right? Because look at those test scores. Look at the prison. They're in prison. They're in tests. And now go give them now, Mr. Algorithm, Mr. AI. Now go and hire some humans and offer them credit. And it's going to say, wait a minute. These ones with low test scores and who are more likely to be in prison, that's a credit risk. Let's go with the other folks, right? So it's not programming; it's exposing it to biased data, and then saying, "You're smart, you're quote unquote smart. Go make the decision," but you're making a decision on very biased data.
So it's I guess it's easy to say and to conclude that the circumstances that we're in today could be replicated by artificial intelligence. So if you were to have a AI police force, well, they would say, well, based on the data that we've been exposed to, it would make more sense to have more officers in a predominantly black neighborhood.
Yeah, absolutely. And according to this biased police, you could say, okay, well, who should we, this AI self-driving police car, who should we pull over? Well, randomly, are you going to pull over this young white woman? No, the data doesn't say that white women commit crimes at a high rate. What about this white man? A little higher than the white woman. Black man, oh yeah, pull him over.
So it would go by statistical data, not necessarily whole numbers, because, in whole numbers, whites they commit more crimes. It's more of them, they commit more crimes in whole numbers. But it would go by statistical data as opposed to whole.
I'm talking about the bias, right? So
right.
It all depends on what. So the answer to your question is yes, based on the data that it's exposed to, right? So I could flip that. I could expose it to our circle of people, right? Showing faces of me, you, and our credit scores, and how we treat women, and how we treat our families. They would think, oh man, black men are the SHIT, right? We're great. We're going to show them pictures of Barack Obama. Right? And show them his resume and your resume and your kids' SAT scores, right? And then maybe on the flip side of that, you can say, okay, we'll show them, I don't know, I'm trying to think of something crazy, but you see what I'm going, right?
Right, I see where you're going. I got you.
Charles Manson, right? Show them Charles Manson's picture and his resume, and Ted Bundy and all these serial killers, and saying, okay, that's what these folks do. Then it's going to be biased the other way and think that all white folks are serial killers and all black folks are, on the level of Barack Obama and Dr. Musa, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
I got you.
it's all about the data that's being exposed to.
Okay. I got you. That makes sense. It does make sense, Mike.
Well, just to back up what you said, again, a little research. MIT Media Lab found that facial recognition systems misidentified darker skinned women 34.7% of the time, compared to 0.8% for lighter skinned men. So, how do we, is there a distrust in the AI system because people are not programming, but putting those statistics in there?
It's exposing it. So I guarantee you, without knowing what happened here, I guarantee you it's misidentifying, not because the AI algorithm is just naturally a racist, because it hasn't been exposed to many black women. They probably fed it pictures of, they probably fed it a million pictures and maybe 400 black women. So it doesn't have enough exposure to really know what to recognize, right? So that's the issue. I guarantee you that's the issue. It's just because it didn't have the same amount of training data for those lighter skinned faces to be smart enough to be able to make the decisions. That's all that is. It's training data. And the person who's feeding the data is like, oh, well, I'm going to feed it because we're 80% of the or actually more than that, 95% of the tech community looks like us. So we're going to find these pictures. Think about it. If I'm in Google, I'm going to just do all employee pictures, the tens of thousands of pictures of all these Asian folks and white folks. And, I'm going to feed it the pictures of all the black people. It went to me brothers at Google, right? So I'm going to feed it all. Look, it's messing up. I don't know, because it doesn't have enough examples of what black people look like.
Wow.
That's why. I guarantee you that's the answer there. Nothing more. Damn. Nothing more. You get rid of the bias. You want to get rid of the bias? Give it more data.
Give it more data.
That's it. Show us more brothers. Hey, I got some more.
But they gotta show the brothers. What the
I remember the Jet Beauty.
Yeah, gotta show them Jet, show them Ebony, Essence. Gotta feed those images, right?
Feed them some messages and then some Jet magazines, Jet Beauty of the week.
For our young listeners, you may not know about Jet. Google Jet Beauty of the week, baby.
That was fire back in the day. My mom didn't want to look, and I was like,
get to the swimsuit page.
People like, what are you talking about? Can y'all?
Right.
Y'all get that on Google now. We couldn't, so you couldn't Google that back in the day.
No, you had to flip the pages, go to the middle of the book, baby. Listen.
And you couldn't find Jet Beauty in no encyclopedia neither.
No, you could not. Let me ask this. How can Black communities better organize around tech, whether in education, entrepreneurship, or policy?
Wowzy, wow.
Because I know you said there is no magic bullet to bring us in, but I think that with Generation Alpha now? I don't know. I think that's the youngest generation out right now.
2012 to present is Alpha, I think.
Yeah. So Generation Alpha, I think they're the group of Black children that will be more adept and more open to moving into those spaces. So how do we, as people like us, Generation X, we're so far removed from them socially. How do we organize them around it?
Totally. So I do have two children who are Generation Alpha, born 2016 and 2017. So this is kind of my thing. I don't have the magic answer, but it really goes back to just being a good parent to your people, your children, right? Mm-hmm. I just expose my girls to everything, right?
Okay.
Whether it be one's learning computer-aided design, but she's also doing ballet, and she also took a jujitsu class, right? And she took a fencing class a few years ago, didn't like it. That's fine. Keep it rocking. Keep on figuring out what you like. So back to the STEM question and the technology question, how we rally around AI it's just exposure. Yeah, because the thing is AI. So here's the thing: when things are moving so fast, man, because this pace of advancement I haven't seen in my life, in my career. I've never seen technology move this fast. And when I was in the ninth, 10th grade, and I decided that I wanted to study computer science at Michigan State, it was 1983. And because I could see into the future, I read a magazine in time, I read an article in Time magazine about careers going into the year 2000, which seemed like it was a long way away. It was only like 17 years away. And they talked about healthcare jobs, doctors, dentists, things like that. And it also talked about jobs in technology. It's like, oh, this is what I want to do. And that Time magazine article was spot on, right? We as adults don't have the vision because things change so quickly. I don't know what 20 years is going to look like. Nobody does. Even the top experts don't. So I think understanding the capabilities of AI, figuring out short term, meaning between the next 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 7 years, figuring out how to leverage AI to be the best that you can at your profession and for your business that makes sense until artificial general intelligence and artificial superintelligence arrives. Then it's like we reshuffle the deck. It's like, oh, you got a winning hand. Oh no, you can't play them. You can't play them aces, baby boy. You got a winning hand. You think you about to run a Boston on this, baby boy? Oh no, we about to reshuffle the deck.
Right.
And I don't know. You might have a really good hand. We're talking about spades. I said running Boston. The African Americans know we talking about spades, baby.
13.
For anybody else,
13.
Boston means that you have a really good hand and you're gonna just do really well.
You got to go to voice. You got to do the voice.
You can do really well with the cards that you're played, and you're gonna do really well. How about that?
All right. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so when we talk about artificial general intelligence, artificial superintelligence, all the progress, you reshuffling the deck. I don't know how those cards gonna land, right? It's all I don't know. So with that being said, the only thing we can do is, of course, have faith in God. I think that's the biggest thing. And secondarily and thirdly is just understand what the technology is capable of. But then the things I said earlier, which is being able to work with people, being able to agree with people, or being able to work with people that you might not necessarily agree with. I think that's important. Those things, and understanding what the technology is capable of.
Okay.
And that's literally like 10 years out. But from now until 10 years, just really understanding AI, how to apply it on your job, how to apply it for your business, because the technology changes so rapidly. It's so much stuff coming out. It's overwhelming for me, and I'm used to this, and I'm overwhelmed. Like literally every week, there's something hot and new, and I'm just blown away.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
And since it moves so fast and the government moves so slow, how can they regulate, or should it be regulated? I mean, it should be regulated, but how can they do that?
Well, so my opinions on regulation of AI are kind of extreme, meaning there probably needs to be some type of regulation, but I know that China is our biggest competitor, United States versus China, right? They're our biggest competitor, and they ain't regulating a damn thing. They going, man, oh my God, I don't want to get into it. Man, the Chinese, man, they some ruthless. They ruthless. You think them brothers from 6 Mile and Detroit ruthless? The East Side boys.
They ain't got nothing on China.
Man, as gangster as them dudes on the East Side, West Side, wherever you from, man, Joy Road, right? Man, they ain't got nothing on them Chinese dudes, right? So when I'm gonna say Chinese, I'm talking about the government, right? Chinese government. In that they steal technology. They've removed the guardrails. They do whatever it takes to catch up, and they're probably almost caught up to the United States as far as AI. So if the United States were to try to put guardrails and safety measures around AI, we get lapped by the Chinese.
Right.
So with that being said, I'm not for regulation, because as corrupt as our government can be, I'd rather us control AI than Chinese control AI and have the leash to the artificial superintelligent dog, right? I'd rather us hold the leash to this powerful entity than our adversaries. That's just my personal take. right? So, and to answer your question, Mike, in regards to regulation, I think we need it, but I'm not really for it because of the reasons that I spoke upon.
So would you say your apprehension for regulation probably pretty much is based more in competition?
It's competition.
Okay.
It's competition. And I'd
All
rather
right.
see us win. Just like I'd be rooting for us in the Olympics. I ain't rooting for the Chinese in the Olympics.
Right. Right.
I'm rooting for us, like
Yeah.
USA. I'm gonna
Yeah,
say
that's
that.
interesting because I love electric cars. This is my second one I'm on now. And so even though, it's one thing about being an electric car enthusiast, you kind of research all the latest tech as it becomes. And I'm going to tell you something, man. The Chinese, I understand why they don't allow Chinese electric cars over here. If they did, the BDY, a lot of these, it's like about, geez, I can't even count how many electric car companies are in China, right? These things are making Teslas look like Ford Pintos. I mean, they are. You got to do the research. It's amazing. So I do understand. My question is, if we're not allowed to compete here, and China's just running laps around us in China, does that reverberate to the States if their products aren't allowed to come here?
Well, and again, I'm not an EV electrical vehicle expert, so I don't. Any of my comments are kind of anecdotal based on not knowing much. So the short answer, I don't know, because that's just not my area of expertise. So I don't know, to be honest with you.
All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Mike, you got something? Because I got something I want to ask right here.
Go ahead. I'm trying to link it, but go ahead.
Okay. I know. Go if you like. You got to link it. Go. You good?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Let me ask you this. What gives you hope about the future of technology and its potential to uplift the Black community?
You know what? I would say, if you think about what we as Black folks have been through over the last 400 years being in this country, right? I think about this almost every night, right? I'm here in North Carolina, and I'm thinking about, and I'm very respectful and almost prayerful. And when I think about what our ancestors went through, particularly here in North Carolina, here in Wake County, and sometimes I kind of lay it at night, and I'm not going to get to answering your question, but I'm thinking about our ancestors. If they can look down on me and you, Musa, Dr. Musa, and Mike, they would be really, really proud. I'm a guy that I haven't been into an office in over 5 years. I basically talk to this magic screen, right? This magic, it's like mirror on the wall. It's like a magic mirror that I talk to. Well, it's like a mirror because I can see myself right now. I'm looking kind of suave. Right?
You looking suave. Anyway, you looking fly. You looking fly, bro. You looking fly.
I talk to this magic mirror, and I tell people in different parts of the world what to do. And I get orders from people what to do. And then money just comes to me, and I go and spend money. It's magical. And I live in a house that probably looks like some plantations that our ancestors worked on.
Right.
And I got people of all ethnicities who look up to me and take orders from me, right? And that's the dream. They can only dream of having a life like the lives we have, right? And it's in part because of what they went through, slavery, and our great great grandparents were through slavery, our grandparents and great grandparents through Jim Crow, our parents and grandparents through redlining, and then some of us through some of the things we went through, civil rights. And through what I just described, technology has progressed, right? There was technology during slavery and Jim Crow, and it's progressed. And as technology has progressed, and as our lives have gotten better, not because of technology, but our lives are a lot better than what our ancestors, about how our ancestors lived 200 years ago. So I'm saying all that to say that I'm hopeful and prayerful that as this technology benefits all of humanity, we're going along for the ride too. in the same way that we as African Americans are much better off than our ancestors, and we're riding the same technology wave as our white counterparts right now, right? So to answer, so what does that mean for us? I think that all the benefits that I described earlier when I talked about a society that doesn't have to work, that's going to equally benefit us. You know, I think that it's going to level the playing field to where we're as equal now, as well off now as we ever been as Africans in the United States. There's never been a time in this country's crazy racist past that is better than right now. Even though some things we're going through right now with old boy in the White House, even with that, it's still, I wouldn't trade 2025 for 1985, 1965, 1855, 1625. I wouldn't trade any of those years for 2025, right?
I got you. Yeah.
So 2075, there's going to be some podcast going on, and it's going to be a brother, some slick talking, probably my grandson, in 2075, slick talking brother from Detroit with his, well, I don't know if he's going to be from Detroit, because I don't know. Anyway, slick talking brother with his gators on, talking about how it's better to live in 2075 than it is 2025.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So, and I didn't directly answer you, Dr. Musa.
No, I got you.
But I think it's like that the tide lifts all boats. I think our boat is going to be lifted, but I think the outcome is we're going to be closer, because life is not going to be based on how much money you can pull. It's going to be how best of a human you can possibly be, or whatever that is. And we good at being human. Black folk, we good at doing that.
Yeah, we got that down. We got that down. No matter what our problems are, we tend to make that work.
Exactly.
Okay. All right, we've been at this for a while, Mike. I want you to close us out with the best inquiry that you have.
Man, it's a lot to think about.
Yeah, it is, right? It is.
Talking about AI, technology, where our place is in it, and you really shined a lot of light and perspective on where we are in this whole role. For your last words, what would you like to say, or what can you say to anybody that's listening to the podcast so that they can walk away with something and have that ruminate in their minds?
Absolutely. I would say to your viewers, your listeners, to just be mindful of what AI can do. If you don't understand any of this stuff, it's okay to just ask, or just go into Google or go into ChatGPT. You can just Google that and then go on and just start asking questions. AI is here to stay. It's very similar to the internet when it was new back in 1995, when people started doing Google searches in 2000, when people started using email around 95, 93. It's similar to how people started using cell phones in around 1990 or 1985 or so. It's similar to how my grandmother and them, when they were talking about how they got the first telephone in the house, and when they got the first television in the house, and then my grandparents, when they were children, talking about getting their first radio back in like 1930, right? Almost 100 years ago.
Right, yeah.
Right? I was just telling me when I was a little boy, we got our first radio, right? And it was new. We gathered around here, whatever it was, the newscast, whatever they were listening to. So it's just about, my recommendation is, just like that family that got their first radio in 1930, or like their first television in 1950, or the first landline in 1955, or whatever year it was, is to embrace technology, figure out how you can use it, be open to it, be open-minded, right? And then figure out how it can make your life better. One shouldn't look at this to say, well, this is something new. I need to be just in it just to be in it. No. Figure out how to make it work best for you. For the brother I might have a barbershop. Got set on 7 Mile in Wyoming. I got a barbershop. What AI gonna do for me? Well, go ask it. Ask it. I own the barbershop on 7 Mile in Wyoming. What can you do for me? And then it will come up, will spit out some answers. It may say, well, based on this, that, and the other, what are your prices? It might tell me your prices. Well, you know what? Based on what your prices are and the cost of living, you should raise your prices. People can pay more for it may give you some, or you should consider using an online booking system because, what's your traffic like on Saturdays? Oh, and you're taking appointments by hand. Well, for $5 a month, you can use this app. And what's the age group of most people coming to your barbershop? Mostly teens. Get on this app and you can easily schedule appointments, right? So it can be used to help everybody, like barbershop on 7 Mile, Wyoming, and everybody else. It's just similar to how my grandmama and them got their radio back in 1930. It benefited them, right? They could hear about what's going on in the world and what's going on in the community. And they uplifted them. AI is the same thing, but on steroids. So I would just tell your viewers and listeners to figure out how this technology can help you by simply just get on and ask. I do this. I do hair and nail. I do braids. What can you do for me? Enter, and then act on what it tells you to do.
Yeah, most definitely.
All right.
Brother Eham, thank you for your knowledge, your insight, and just being here sharing just your history and everything that you brought to the conversation. Thank you, man. And we're here at DaGrit. Leave us your thoughts, your concerns, your comments down below. Let us know what's going on with you and AI. See you next week.
Peace.